appears to be it. So, since we have a quorum, we're ready to go. We're just going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, first thing is I would ask if the members have received the minutes of the last meeting.
Yes.
Were there any changes or corrections? Okay, can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Seconded? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. So we're going to make a small change to the agenda, and we're going to hear the Killearn Road application first. So, you can come on up here, maybe pull up a chair. And if you need to show us anything in larger format, there's a.
Good evening. My name is Dan Farnan. I'm an engineer with Colliers Engineering and Design. I'm representing the town board and the highway department for the town here tonight to discuss the Killearn Road Improvement Project. The reason why we're here, the town core code has empowered the planning board to approve or disapprove alterations to scenic roads in the town. And Killearn Road is classified as a scenic road. The improvements that we're proposing rise above the level of routine maintenance, so they are true alterations according to your code. So we're going to be going through this process to ask for your approval so that the town can move forward with construction. Some quick background. Colliers was hired in 2021, 2022, the beginning of 2022, to conduct a study of the roadway, to look at all of the various deficiencies and issues that have been raised over time by either the citizens here or the highway department, and come up with recommendations for how the road can be improved and have a useful life moving forward. A draft of that report was finished at the end of 2022 with some recommendations. One of the recommendations was to have a survey done of the entire corridor from start to finish, and also to gather more information through the winter to see some of the worst conditions of the roadway. That was conducted, and the survey was also performed by CT Mail in 2023. When we were CT Mail is a different firm, a surveying firm that was hired by the town. All of that was put together into the final version of our report, and we generated recommendations that the town could move forward with, trying to figure out what suits the character of the road the best, what gives the highway superintendent the best road moving forward, and to present those recommendations to the public. In June of 2024, I believe it was June 5th, 2024, a public information meeting was held where we presented all of our findings and the 5 different alternatives. The alternatives ranged from as basic as just spot repairs to all the way to paving the entire road, having a 24-foot wide uniform width the entire length. That was alternative 5. Alternative 1 was those spot repairs. Upon the middle of the road, the alternative 3 was the one that was selected, and that alternative is called gravel reclamation. We're basically going to reclaim the gravel that is already there, grind it up to a depth of 12 inches, place it back down, compact it, and put a topping coat over the top of it to help improve the life of the roadway moving forward. It's going to help delay potholes, rutting, and some of the other issues that exist. Another large component of the project is drainage improvements, and those will be swales and other improvements to make sure that the water can move off of the road quickly. The water is really one of the main things that's damaging the road and is hard to manage in that area. So we're proposing different improvements throughout the whole entire 3.25 mile corridor. Other than that, there are some culverts underneath the roadway 12-inch, 15-inch, up to 24-inch culverts. If they're in poor shape, we're going to replace those as part of the project. The ones that are good, that don't need replacement or would not be damaged by the milling of the roadway, those will remain. The next steps that we have, Colliers has to complete a set of design plans, give those over to the planning board, give them to your engineer for a review. And then the remainder of this process for approval, what the town decides to do on seeker, which I will defer to your attorneys on what is the appropriate process with that, and ask for your approval. And then hopefully later this year, we can move forward with bidding the project and probably a 2026 construction if funding is in place.
Question I have is, we have authority based on, as I understand, based on the fact that what you're doing is more than just routine maintenance. It is widening of the road, particularly in a few sections.
Yes.
So does that mean, and I think it probably does, that we don't have authority over 90% of what you're doing? Wouldn't that make sense?
It depends on, that might be a question for your attorney in interpreting the code exactly to what rises to alteration. We are going to grind up the roadway for 12 inches deep, the entire length of it. There are areas that are going to be widened. There are areas where there are no swales, where there will be swales, and that's going to be in the roadside. So that just, it depends kind of.
The reason I bring that up is understandably, when you look at that scenic road law, we do have authority to approve a certain type of work when it reaches some sort of a threshold. But it sounds to me like a lot of what's being done is maintenance.
It can be viewed that way. All roads have to be redone. You know, a regular
That's what I'm
local
thinking. That's
road
to me
that's
is
paved.
maintenance.
Yeah.
A road doesn't stay forever. It has to be redone or fixed up over time.
So I would just note, just for the board members, Rebecca Volk, I'm your conflict counsel on this matter. Nice to meet you all. The code section at issue has two specific that I think are applicable to identify what portions are routine maintenance versus what is outside. At the end of the list that you find in 16554G3, correction of drainage problems is considered routine maintenance. This is not just correction, though. It appears that they are improving and adding. So I think the drainage is a bit beyond the routine, but another exemption is retreatment and repair of existing roadway. I think the milling and the grinding would fall within that. So I think really to the extent that you're holding a hearing and reviewing, it's probably to the extent that those drainage improvements are along the side of the road. That's my view of it based on the description.
I wanted to sort of define it so that we don't have this amorphous public hearing and then some amorphous thing, that what we are looking at is a portion of what they're doing, not everything.
I don't want to step on anyone's toes, but I believe it's only to appoint you, Rebecca. You passed the resolution.
Oh, I apologize. I should have done that right
Fair
at the
point.
outset. Very good point. Thank you.
Okay, so I should have said I will be your conflict counsel in a moment.
Why don't we start with that?
Yeah.
Because I should have started with that. Rebecca has already introduced herself. So we have a conflict in this matter because Vanderwater represents the town as well as us most of the time. And so we need to get separate attorneys for this one matter. And Rebecca Volk is our counsel for this. So we have a resolution somewhere here. And the resolution says that she will be our counsel for this matter. And somewhere. Yeah, I'm just gonna look at it. Or I have saved it on. So this resolution says that whereas the board finds that it's in the best interest to retain Rebecca, we are, and also whereas she's going to provide legal advice at the rate of $2.60 per hour plus disbursement. Now therefore be it resolved that I am authorized to sign a retainer agreement to provide, for her to provide those legal services. So if we all agree to that, I would like a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved. Second.
Nicole, Richard, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Sorry, I should have started with all of that, but. Okay. So where were we?
I have two questions, actually. Regarding a grinding road, what's the objective to grind the road? What goes on there? Why are we grinding the road? What purpose does it serve?
So with gravel roads, there's a couple different things that's going to do. The material that's there is usable. It's just over time, it's gotten so compacted, it's in some cases unshapable by the motor grader that they have here. We need to reshape that so it has a cross slope of 4%. Right now, it has almost no percent in some areas, so water can't
And it
move.
can't be
Or
graded.
it could be, but this process is a better process for doing so. And the other part of that is once it's ground up and then shaped, then being able to put the topping course, that's a wearing course.
What is
So-
the topping course?
The topping course that we're proposing is a chip and seal. It can be just regular stone. That's going to be dependent on what we choose as the final option, but the chip and seal is the first thing that gets done after that base is all ground and shaped. You come through with a tack coat, which kind of looks like a tar-like material. It's sprayed down, and then chips is small stone
So
that's
it
placed over
becomes
top.
an impervious surface.
Somewhat. You can think of it like waterproofing. I would caution you that it's not exactly waterproofing, but it does help to prevent the water from getting down into the base, which is that whole idea. Think of the base as the foundation, and you want that foundation to last and be as strong as
And that
possible.
would be for the entire length of the.
That is the entire length of the gravel portion of the road.
You know, so back to my question as well. Visually, what does that surface look like? Does it look more like asphalt?
No.
Is that fine? Is that too dark? Is
What-
it looser? Like,
Yeah, when the tack coat goes down, that does look black. That's going to look like asphalt, but that's just temporary. You see it for 10 minutes, and then after that, the truck comes with all the stone. The final surface that you see is stone.
So once this process is complete, everything's cured and set. If someone were to drive down this road in say 6 months, given that it's a scenic road in town, what would the visual impact be? Rural, rustic?
It would still maintain the same character. It would be a gravel road.
Are there roads in the town that have this look already?
No.
No?
I mean, they have to look, but they don't have.
Not the whole thing, but the final, I'm thinking more of the
Sure.
final part. Do we
Sure.
have this chip and seal on other town roads?
Not necessarily through chip and seal, or there is chip and seal on other roads, but it's not exactly what she.
And from your perspective on an annual basis compared to other dirt gravel roads in the town, would this be cheaper, easier to maintain?
Excuse me, Town, you're on mute. On Zoom, you're on mute.
Now you can hear us?
Yes.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
having concerns about paving work being done. And I think this was really done with the 5 options as an outreach to get feedback before the town board took the position of bringing to you the proposed plan. So they have now advanced and it's been confirmed, option number 3. One of the things the board should be prepared to discuss tonight, and your planner may want to weigh in, is the issue of seeker on this. And from what I'm hearing, that this is going to be bid out by the town board. Both the town board and the planning board appear to be involved agencies because there is either approval, funding, or permitting authority. So we should have a Part 1 EAF submitted. In my opinion, it is likely that this is an unlisted action, but I say unlikely because we don't have the Part 1 EAF yet. Just for background, as I'm sure this board is very aware, under seeker you have type 1 or type 2 actions, and if you don't fit into either one of those, you're considered an unlisted action. The only type 1 threshold that would seem to apply would be if there was a disturbance of greater than 10 acres. I find that highly unlikely given the length. However, that's where I say it's likely an unlisted action, because we would want that confirmed by your submission.
So is the planning board gonna deal with the seeker, or was the town board?
I'm gonna get to that point in just a moment. It's a very good question.
You said a disturbance, that means, practically speaking, a widening, not necessarily grinding depth to the depth.
Well, I think the grinding with, because you look at actions as one action, even though you don't necessarily have approval authority over the routine maintenance, you're still looking at the one action. So I think you would consider the full road and the drainage. But given that it's a 3-mile stretch and we're talking about, about a 20-foot width?
On average, the existing road varies from 25 foot wide at its widest to 16 at its narrowest. And in some of those areas, the widening, the recommendation for a scenic road per AASHTO, which is a standard we use, is to have at least 18 foot. So those 16 foot areas, we want to bring out to at least 18 foot. The other areas that are already up towards of 20, there's no widening there. It's just adding the drainage at the edges.
Yeah, so given those numbers based upon a 3.25 length road, I find it very unlikely that it's going to end up being 10 acres of disturbance, but I would want that verified in the submission. The going to the type 2 list, the only thing that would apply would be repaving, not altering lane lines. But because we have this little bit of widening and the drainage, I think that's what kicks us up into the unlisted. I don't know if your planner wants to speak at all to that.
We, on reviewing the different types, we think that unlisted is probably the most appropriate as well. And by the same line of reasoning, wanted to confirm that the disturbance area would be less than 10 acres.
Thank you. So then the next question comes to who's going to deal with the seeker. Since both boards have some sort of permitting authority, there's a couple ways this could be done. It's unlisted actions do not require coordinated review, but you can do a coordinated review. So if you did uncoordinated, each board would do their own seeker of the issue. And I see you shaking your head. Yeah, I tend not to be a fan of uncoordinated review, but I have to advise on the options. On the coordinated review, one of the two boards would just declare itself its intent to be lead agency and essentially take the reins of doing the seeker work and circulate back to. So since both boards, while it's a little unusual for the town board to be an applicant to this board, it also has its separate independent authority to, and that was one of the questions we were looking at, was what needed to be done before the highway superintendent could start doing this work. And there's going to be a bid going out, which the town board's going to have to vote and approve. That is a funding and approval authority. So both boards are involved agencies. Those appear to be the only two involved agencies under the code. You will circulate this to the CAC and to the highway superintendent, but that is only for review and comment. That is not an approval authority, so they're only interested agencies. Would this trigger any referral to Dutchess County Planning? Are we near? I'm looking at Alicia.
You are, the road ends on Dutchess County Road.
It ends on
Oh,
the
it does,
state-
okay, so we would refer to Dutchess County Planning,
One
but
end
again,
of it.
yeah, that again is only for comments, so they're an
I would
interested
assume
agency.
The lead agency would be the town. This is their project.
Yes.
They're paying for
That's
it
what
and
it
they're managing it.
seems like.
We're here to decide something about scenic road, whether it's appropriate project, the scenic road. I don't see us being involved in the secret at all. I think. it's-
Well, we're involved. We are involved.
I
Yeah.
think the town, it
Because
makes
we
more
have a
sense that
role.
the town is
I
the
used
lead
the wrong
agency on the
I
secret.
I'm sorry.
Like, the town, it seems to make, in my opinion, that the town board would be the lead on seeker.
So what, if that's your position, you would not declare yourself, you would essentially wait for the town board to declare itself to be lead agency in that situation. My understanding is, I believe you have a meeting later this week?
We on Thursday.
Yeah.
Take care of it.
So can the town board discuss this and get back to, maybe the two attorneys can talk this week and get back on this? Because I do think you guys agree that it seems to me that the town board, it is your project. And we're happy to be,
We're still an involved.
we're still an involved agency, we're happy to make comments, but it doesn't seem like it's appropriate for us to plead things. That's not how I
Always on seeker.
on seeker. Yeah, we have our job to do, but I don't.
So with that discussion, obviously, there's gonna be some discussion at the town board later this week about that. As far as steps for this board, I mean, obviously, additional questions, because I kind of jumped in, obviously, if you have additional questions on the project, please. But I think it would be good to, ask for the town board to submit its seeker, EAF, even though the town board still has to review it, I think you should have a part one EAF to evaluate what the proposed impacts are.
If I may, there was part one that was filled out, maybe,
Oh,
I
there
don't know
was?
if, I don't know if the full application came to you, but, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember seeing the part one. That was,
Okay.
yeah, so somewhere in the files, I believe it was.
Okay.
submitted.
Okay. I downloaded what was online and I don't think it got posted there maybe. Or maybe I missed it, I don't wanna. And then, so I think it would be premature to schedule a public hearing at this point until you can hold a public hearing, but you can't make any decisions until seeker's done. But I think until you have the EAF, you may wanna review that and have that available at the time you schedule the public hearing.
Okay, but you did say you submitted it.
It-
Did I miss that? I don't remember if I said
I
that.
didn't see it.
Yeah.
I'm not,
We didn't receive that either.
Oh, yeah, okay, so we're not, we're
It
all a
was some-
little
yeah,
disconnected.
The town attorney had filled out, I remember reviewing it, I didn't.
Okay, so we just need to investigate.
Is it feasible that the EAF could be done and at your meeting, at the next town meeting, that the lead agency is declared by them? And we can have all this in place for a public hearing at the next meeting? Or not?
Yeah, is there any reason why
Put
we
it on and
can't
then
schedule a
all
public hearing and then have those
Assume
materials?
those
since we're
if
gonna
you're
have it?
inclined to do that, I would just say if the EAF raises any questions, there's always a risk it could be canceled. But if the board is inclined
That's-
to want to move forward and hold it in June, that's your discretion. Yeah, I'm not gonna, you certainly are allowed to do that.
I think we should get to do that.
I think that's, it's the.
Let's move it ahead, like I don't.
Well, we can always keep the public hearing open.
Absolutely, and we can keep the public hearing open if we need more information, but I think that would be.
So one thing I would, this is a little unusual, but one thing I would recommend to keep this moving is typically when you declare lead agency, you circulate and the other board has 30 days to respond, and if they don't respond, you're deemed to be. Or you can respond saying we don't object. If you'd like to do a motion now saying upon receipt of the town board's declaration of lead agency, we will not object, that can get back to the town board to facilitate this moving forward.
Can I get a motion that says that upon receipt of the town board's declaration of lead agency, that we will say that we do not
So
object to that?
Second.
Second was Nicole, and it's Adam. All in favor? Aye. Okay,
How many people are likely to come to this meeting? I mean, must be mailing to 50 people, 60 people.
Well, that's the interesting thing is the procedure doesn't have a mailing notice to be given by publication in newspaper of general circulation at least 5 calendar days to the date of the hearing, and by sending notice by mail to the owners of the lots fronting the road to, and It follows the procedure for designation, so the language is a little, so it would be the lot owners on it, but there's some pretty large lots here. Do you have an idea how many parcels this is?
Very
Fifty-
few.
30?
No, it's in, the total parcels are 50.
Oh, it's really that many, okay.
So that would be the mailing from the town notifying them.
So you'll have a lot of people that
A lot
are
of
here.
people.
Okay.
We have
Or maybe
more
not, maybe they
questions?
will feel like they were
Yeah.
heard last year, like we don't know, they may
Well,
feel like they've already done
Were
it,
there
so.
objections to this plan?
There were definitely questions, there were comments. I
No.
believe that the objection was to paving. I don't think there was any objection that I recall to improving the roadway for the
So this
safety and
number
everything.
3, that you don't have any objections to this?
I don't have any objections to it. But, public did register their comments and we documented.
Is there someone, you said not in the town of Washington, is there somewhere nearby that we could see an example of this? Searches.
That's gonna be one of my recommendations, or photographs if you have them.
So photographs, yes, the public information meeting that we did. So one thing just to understand, in the Northeast, when gravel roads exist, for the most part, we pave them. So it is different. We're trying to preserve the gravel roads here. In the Midwest, in the center of this country, gravel roads are the thing. The paved roads are usually the rare ones. So there is a lot of information on how this process works, anywhere from Texas all the way up to North Dakota. So the climates are vast, and so there's a lot of different processes that are used that would be applicable here in the Northeast. In the public information meeting, which I believe was recorded, is that still online or? Okay. We did present pictures of what this looks like. It was a project in Illinois where they had filmed it. They used drones to fly over top. So it's actually very easy to see exactly how the process goes. If that's not available, I can make sure that it is available for people to
Just a
see.
finished look, we don't need to see that process.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep,
I
can be
think
pictures,
it's
yeah.
gonna be very important also that you get the materials that you're going to follow up with, the
The plans.
the plans and all of that, so that they can be posted online
Mhm.
well ahead of the meeting, so that the public does have something to look at. We don't like to get them last minute, but the public really hates it. And
Understood.
they need to be able to have a chance to look at this and understand it and then show up next month.
And if you could bring us some of those same materials that you had for those previous meetings of the town,
I'm sure
that might
that'd
be
be
helpful for the final, this public meeting.
Yes.
Yep. Those photos are.
I'm just curious about one thing, and then if it's how relevant it is. The document we saw, there was some discussion about farm equipment moving on this road. I think there's just one major farm there, is that right?
The main reason it was mentioned was the very first time that I drove down the road, I came over a hill and it was the large tractor in which I had to pull in onto the grass and completely get off the road for it to pass by. So that was
Yeah, I
why
guess I'm asking if that is a significant part of the problem, of the issue here, and if this is an appropriate service for that.
So your question whether
Uh,
service is strong enough to
I don't know what
handle
my question is.
I think, could I just say, I think, and maybe the board members here can correct this, is I think this started because of safety reasons, not because of tractors or anything else. The road becomes somewhat impassable at mud season.
Right.
And so they were trying to create, to fix those areas.
But I'm just trying to understand how much an impact this, every farm equipment has on this road, if that's a primary cause.
It's mostly
of this
car
road.
traffic on it.
It is. The water is the main thing that is damaging the road and making it impassable.
The only farmland really that's on Calern Road is on the east prop end. I farm all of it, actually, on both sides of the road. So we're actually only on Calern Road for about half a mile or 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah.
The rest of the road is pretty much residential. There are a couple of horse farms,
Right.
no large machinery on the rest of the farms. On the rest of the road, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Right, and I was going to mention too, there are some areas where the existing gravel goes as deep as 24 inches. We're only milling the first 12 for economy, but it's significant, so.
It's a beautiful road.
I just have one question for preparing your public hearings. Does the attorney typically do that? Does your planner do that?
The board secretary.
The board secretary provides, it's my understanding, the board secretary provides the addresses that need to be noticed.
So the applicant does
And
it.
the applicant takes care of
Right.
And the applicant prepares the notice themselves
Yeah.
typically?
No.
it. No, you provide
The
a,
secretary provides the notice itself
Okay,
Yeah.
to the
Yeah, that's it.
applicant as well as the addresses.
okay. I would just like, because this is a little different than our normal application, I would just like to look at the draft notice before it's provided to the town board, and sent out, just to check it against the code.
What we can do, we have a full list of all of the addresses. I'd have to check to make sure we have the names. We have the names from a survey, which just gives the landowner, not necessarily the, if somebody else is living on the land that has to be addressed to. But we at least have, whether it's, 350 Killarn, 352, we have all of those. I can put that in a table and send it over.
that would be helpful. Great, thank you. Okay. Is that it then? Are we ready to schedule the public
I
hearing?
was just gonna say, do you typically do that by formal motion?
Yes.
Every board does it different, so.
Yeah. So can I get a motion to schedule a public hearing for June 3rd? Richard?
Let's try.
Second?
Easier when it's the same person.
Second, all right. And all in favor? Great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Let's review. We need from the town, we have to declare. Correct.
Yes.
And that has to be submitted to.
Send it to the planning board secretary.
Send it to
Send
the
everything to the
planning
planning
board
board secretary and then she
And
will
that's
distribute.
it. We don't send it to any, like, county or anybody else, right?
We will,
You take care
before
of
the
that.
hearing, we will send it to county planning and it will get circulated to Joe and it will get circulated to the CAC for comments before the hearing.
That should happen this week. Like they'll have to.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, great.
And the town does the mailing.
Yes.
Town will do the mailing.
We'll do the mailing.
The only other agency you have to notice, I'm sorry, Hannah, I'm kind of jumping on your,
Oh, that's great.
the only other agency you have to notice is this board.
Yes.
So you can literally just have the intent to be lead agency handed over to office upstairs probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
We post everything. We'll notify the CAC. We'll notify Dutchess County.
Okay. Very good.
And I do agree, any materials as to this option that can be posted online, given the interest in this application in the past, will just help streamline the hearing, hopefully. So,
Yes.
We will get those up there or get them to the town as soon as we can.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
So, all
Thank
right,
you.
thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Appreciate it.
All right, everyone, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
There's plenty more going on tonight.
You're leaving, so.
I thank you for the,
I'll stay and support. I'll stay and support these.
thank you for the courtesy of moving this item up, I appreciate it. And thank you, I know you got Hi, Howard. How are you?
Doug's not supposed to.
Some things never change.
No.
We lost Doug.
Yeah. Where-
Oh, yeah, why is that? He may just go tell her.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so the next matter we have is 119 to 125 Butts Hollow Road. Hello, and this is related to a preliminary subdivision approval to create two lots on a 205.63 acre parcel. We held a public hearing last month when I was not here, right?
It was carried over to, I think it was 2 months worth.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, so, yeah, I can reiterate, you pretty much laid it out though. So I'm Brendan with Johnson Surveying. We handled all the survey work for this project. And yes, essentially it's a 205 acre parcel and we're looking to cut out just over 21 acres for a residential site. I did receive a draft of approval and a negative declaration today. And I was actually able to make all the conditional changes on the plat already, which included the main items, I believe, were adding a house envelope, which we discussed, and we actually had a site walkthrough to show where the house would be. And then we also added a driveway envelope as well to keep the driveway within a certain area. Other than that, we added all the notes that were requested, essentially about if anything was to be changed from the plat, that this board would be the referring agency. What else? And also about the wetland permit process if they go to move to put a driveway in. So yeah, so I'm hoping we could wrap this up.
Okay. Alicia, do you have any comments before we go through the seeker and the neg deck?
Do, and then I just minimized my screen. Sorry about that. Actually, no, at this point, no, I don't have any comments. I may a little later on, but right now, no.
So we do have a draft of the EAF Part 2. And this goes through the impacts and whether or not they're significant. And will the proposed action create a material conflict with adopted land use or zoning regulations? No, or small impact. Will it result in a change in the use or intensity of use of the land? No, or small impact. Will it impair the character or quality of the existing community? No, or small impact. Will it have an impact on environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of critical environmental area? No, or small impact. Will it have an adverse change in the existing level of traffic? No, or small impact. Will it have an increase in use of energy? No, or small impact. Changes to public and private water supplies and public and private wastewater treatment utilities? Again, no, or small impact. Will it impair the historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No, or small impact. If you disagree with any of these, please chime in, but this is how it was filled out and how we think it is. Will it result in an adverse change to natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora or fauna? No, or small impact. Will it result in an increase in potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No, or small impact. Will it create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No, or small impact. So based on those responses, we have, a determination that we have a negative declaration that there's a small impact here. So if we are all in agreement on that, I would ask for a motion to adopt that as a negative declaration. I'll take Emily and Nicole as a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. And then we have the draft resolution, which Brenda was looking at. And this goes.
Sorry, Susan, so you just walked through the Part 2, right?
Yes.
And did you have a chance to review the declaration? The negative declaration itself?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, thanks.
I mean, everyone has seen that today. I sent it to everybody this afternoon, and right before our meeting, I sent it out to everybody again, so they had it in their files, so they could review. So then we have the resolution, a draft resolution that was prepared to approve the preliminary subdivision. And that gives some conditions that Brendan was referring to, and one of those was, replacing certain words on the map that said possible house location or possible driveway with a house envelope and driveway envelope. We wanted to be more specific and sure that it's not a possible. And that a note to the plat that any future development has to be confined to those. The driveway has to be in that application and others. And that if there's any changes to those, they'd have to come back before us. So a change outside of those areas means coming back. A note that any required tree clearing would have to happen during the times where it wouldn't bother the bats, where we're not interfering with the Indiana bat and the northern long-eared bat. and a note that any proposed disturbance within the wetland area, the wetland buffer will require a wetland permit because they are contemplating a driveway which goes over a wetland area, but so that this is not approving it without doing that, they will have to come back to us.
Just for the subdivision.
Yes, and payment of appropriate of all the fees that are required, that they have to receive permission to file from Dutchess County Health, and that they cannot come back to us for a minor subdivision again until 10 years after this one. So those are the conditions. If we all agree with this draft, can I get a motion to adopt it? So can I get seconded? Emily, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. Great, you're all set.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Right, we are up to the training center application for signage. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Jump right into the parking lots, jam packed.
What's going on?
Good.
Oh,
You had like 20 cars in there.
was it that many? Wow, I didn't even notice that.
Front was full and the back
It's like
was
eight
full.
cars.
Very good.
Yeah, yeah, we're done.
Good for you.
I like the way
Thank
you
you.
set up the parking. It looks much safer than the initial layout was.
Yeah, I'm worried. I have a lot of clients, they're up there in age in their 90s. I can't have them backing out until.
Or the way it's set up.
Would not
yeah.
be
So it made the most sense.
Well, you could see it in action today, and it looks very safe.
Oh, good. Thank you.
I'm just impressed that you have clients in their 90s at a training center.
Oh, yeah. I keep them going. You got to keep them going. Got to keep moving.
Goals, Susan.
I might have to check in. Time. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about your sign application?
Yes, the sign is roughly 3 foot by 2 foot 3 inches. So it's underneath the restrictions. It's, pretty, I guess kind of small compared to what I could have done, but I don't want a big gaudy sign out there. And it's far enough away from the state property, and it's so it's far enough into our lot, and it's what's the other thing I was going to say about it? And it's not right in front of the building. It's off the lot. So I sent some pictures. I don't know if you.
Why did you have to come to the planning board for that? sign?
I don't.
It's a
know.
Mappetsville. You know how Mappetsville,
yeah,
the
never
hamlet
mind.
has all its own special
There's the
rules.
golf station, any
I-
little sign, the region that sign.
Any sign in Mappetsville has.
That
yeah,
Well,
gas
I
station.
should have. I already had it
I know.
made, so I should have brought it when I did the original
Yes.
process. I was like, "What? Got to go back?"
I know,
offense.
and I would
It's
love
nice
to
to
be able to
see
say,
you,
oh, we
but-
could somehow tack it on to that, but I don't think we can.
We could be public
Looking at a
service.
way that
It's really small.
I will
expedite this for you.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
looking at
did.
it,
I mean. it
It's a
was
great
really-
looking sign.
It's a good looking sign, it's well within the,
Yeah.
and is there
So,
any lighting on it?
No.
and there's another
No, I
sign
knew
on
that.
the
I know
front of
Howard
your
was
building,
gonna ask that.
Yes.
correct?
Yep.
But is that part of this approval process? Because that's a do we know the answer to that?
What was the question?
There are two signs. One is this one that he's erected on the side by the road, and kind of not by the road, but the other is on his building. Is he required to get permission for that as well?
I think the application is for both sides.
That's what I'm kind of thinking.
Yeah.
But, okay.
It's requested.
Yeah, so the application just included the pictures of the one existing one, but then after, corresponding with the building inspector, it became clear that it's actually for 2 signs. It would make most sense for the application, for the approval to encompass both.
Okay. And that one on the building is what size?
Same size, 3 foot by 2 foot 3 inches.
Okay. Any comments, Alicia?
Well, so we walked through the code requirements and nothing really jumped out. The only thing that was, potentially an issue is whether the red lettering might be considered garish. And if it is, the board, could consider asking the applicant to revise the appearance of the sign, but that's,
How That would not be within my definition of garish. I think it's a very nice sign.
Okay.
So it's a nice looking sign.
What if you were 90?
I didn't have red in my original, and I was
White with a
told to
dark
put
navy.
red, that it would
That's
stand
great.
out more,
That's great.
you know.
Yeah.
The,
Small, it's
I think we
Lori.
all like the sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love
the,
this.
the only other potential issue is that the lettering can't occupy more than 70% of the sign's face. So we recommend, doing the calculations for that to make sure it complies. And if it doesn't, you might need to increase the size of the sign itself. And you have some leeway there because I think the maximum
What constitutes?
signs can be up to 20 square feet.
Sign.
And right now it's just 6. So you could increase the size of the sign to keep that proportion.
Does lettering include numbers, like the telephone number and everything?
What does somebody have
Is
the
it
code there that
characters?
says
Yeah,
that?
it's actually in the application, I think. I think I saw this.
There's more than 50% white space, it looks like to me and to Richard.
Here we go. Yeah, it's 16542 B2E. Detached signs shall not exceed 20 square feet in area, and lettering shall not occupy more than 70% of the face of the detached sign.
Lettering. So does that include numbers? Is the word lettering? Yeah,
I mean,
to my naked eye, that is 70%.
I agree.
I don't see that as being anything that we
And I would
check.
just take out any more time or resources.
Yeah.
Yes. I would.
because I mean, the alternative is just to make the sign much bigger, which I
Yeah.
think doesn't
Which none
serve
of
the
us want.
purpose.
It's a
Yeah.
small,
Yeah.
well done sign, it blends in, it's not obstructive to anything.
I
think I had a note too that the building inspector was brought in on this and had approved that this was in compliance with the code.
He did
Okay.
say something. That's it.
I believe the inspector said that he had no objections as long as the board had no objections.
I think none of us are objecting.
No objection.
No objection.
So the next thing is, according to the code, there's a public hearing required for this.
We should type it for seeker.
Yeah.
Should be typed, and then can.
Can this be waived?
Wait,
For
do we
this?
really need, is it really seeker when it's just a sign?
But it's type 2, so nothing further. All we have to classify as type 2 and we'll move on. That's a motion.
Yeah.
So that's fine. But having to have the public hearing is really,
I think can we waive the public hearing?
are we permitted to waive that?
That's a good question. Do you know the answer to that, Michelle?
I know the board has had the ability to waive public hearings and other matters. Let me pull up the code section right now and check whether that can also be applied to this. I would think yes, but I want to check before I say yes for sure.
I just have the code up here. Where did you go? Town code.
Yeah, so that's right. Can I have a motion to classify this as type 2 under seeker?
So moved.
Seconded?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
It is also required to be noticed to county planning because it's within 500 feet of the state road and a farm operation in an ag district. So if the secretary can refer that to county planning. I looked at it the other day and I couldn't. I could waive it, but
Would it be in, is it gonna be in that section? Waiver. So it's a subdivision.
what is the code section for the sign?
It should be under the supplementary use regulations, which is 165.
I'm not sure if you can waive it for the special permit. It was waivable for site plan,
I couldn't find it the other day, so
but for special permit, I'm not
We'll just put it on for next month. and
going
then-
to have it. The special permit requirements are 165-116.
Leave it up, that's okay, all right.
Yeah.
all right.
I know
More
what-
than 5 minutes.
I had it covered.
Exactly.
and-
No, you'll be in and out in 5 minutes next month.
Okay.
I think. Yeah,
Put you
okay.
first on the agenda.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
I promise. No, I have to write that down. or I'll-
And I can prepare the authorization documents at that time.
That's great.
Exactly. Okay, so can I get a motion to schedule this for a public hearing for next month?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you.
Good luck. Keep it up.
So the next matter we have is 471 Butts Hollow Road. And I believe, Adam, you said that you have a conflict on that, so did you want to sit this one out? Usually somebody to run.
I can't stay as a member of the public.
No.
No.
Sit on a staircase
That's
outside.
why, yeah, you have sit on the surface.
So in this application, Joseph Singer and Michael Tworkowski have authorized their surveyor, who I assume is you, Mr.
That's me.
Kirk Horton, to apply on their behalf for a lot line change. So can you explain that?
They have two properties on Butts Hollow Road. One is 9.751 acres and the other is 27.417 acres. Each has a building, a house on it. I called one a cottage just because it's small, but they're both houses.
Yeah,
Have their
we
own
had a
separate
question
driveways.
about that, whether that was
Yeah.
something different, but
It's
okay.
It's an A-frame type of house. It's just.
Good answer though, that removes that issue.
And they want to exchange 2.756 acres, conveying out of the 27 acres into the 9.75 acres. And the final acres would be 12.507 acres for one, 24.661 acres for the other.
This is R10.
R10.
And what's the objective of
That
why
was my
everyone?
question.
Well, there's a power line here, and it just makes sense to use that as the boundary. It's an obvious thing.
Okay.
And I guess it makes this lot compliant now.
Yep.
They own both these.
They own the whole thing.
Sorry, you said it makes the lot compliant?
Yeah, the final acres of the smaller one is 12.507 acres.
It was under 10 acres before.
And both houses have structured home room.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not changing any driveways?
No.
Okay. Alicia, comments on this?
Yes. So our comments were one about the cottage, but that seems to be explained that it's just an A-frame. But I think
The joint ownership.
the main issue that needs to be addressed is that most of the documents, I think, need to be signed by both property owners, especially the ones that need to be notarized. And in this case, looks like they're all signed or notarized by Mr. Singer, but not Mr. Let me say this. Let me get this right. Tworkowski. Did I get that right? So that would just be a procedural requirement before moving forward. Otherwise, the things that we noted are that the septic should be noted on both parcels just to confirm that each lot has its own utilities and that it would stay that way after the lot line adjustment. And the usual classifying under seeker.
And our referrals, do we have referrals on this? I don't have a note about that.
No, so historically, the county has not exercised the option to review subdivision applications that don't include a site plan approval or a variance. So you don't have to refer here.
Okay. All right, so do you think you can get the application
Yeah.
completed and by maybe 2 weeks, or
Sure.
2 weeks before the public hearing date
Sure.
that we will have? So then we just, are we doing a hearing on this? That's the next question. We have waived the public hearing in lot lines before. What is the board's feeling on that?
I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah. I wasn't thinking, yeah. So, any problem with that or questions about? That's okay. We've done it before many times. We have to classify it as a seeker, but
And type 2.
Yes, yes. So, okay, so let's start with that. Can I get a motion to classify this as a type 2 action under seeker? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So,
I think a motion for that waiver as well, just for the record.
okay, good. Can I get a motion to agree to waive the public hearing on this matter?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
We still have the quorum. We were-
Yeah,
Yeah.
4 is a quorum.
Yeah.
So we do not have a public hearing next month, so really we'll just be waiting on the signed documents and to have everything complete, and then I can sign the plan, right?
So you're gonna give a conditional approval tonight for pending the health department approval and the septic system and the notarized?
I don't know if we want to do that.
At the next meeting, I can have a resolution prepared.
Yeah. it's-
All right, so there will be another meeting then.
Yeah,
There has to be
Yeah.
one.
And we'll-
Yes.
We'll have a resolution.
but it skips the public hearing night, so you'll just have next month. Yeah.
Put this on for second. Should just, those two should.
I'm gonna write this down. I won't-
Should take.
Okay. Okay, so,
Okay.
all good?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
I did the same thing before, well before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the earlier the better, really helps. Okay, great. Okay,
Thank you.
so the next matter is Todd for 3515 Route 82. And here we have a homeowner has applied for site plan approval and a special permit to build an addition to a house for her elderly parents. Ms. Todd, hi.
How are
Hi.
Good, how are you? And you've already gone to the ZBA. And you needed their approval because your parcel is smaller than what would normally be allowed to have an accessory structure. And they gave you permission, they gave you a variance for the acreage, correct? And now they said it was conditional on getting a special permit and a site plan approval from us. Correct. So that's where we are. Correct.
And I do have other documents, I'll plan to speak to that, but I do have, they requested some information from my engineer and architect.
Okay.
I have 2 extra copies.
Okay.
That answers some of your questions.
Alicia, you have this copy
She
of
does not, I
the,
just got it tonight.
oh, she doesn't have it.
She does.
Oh, okay.
Was that
So-
when I bring it with me to have a response to the questions?
Okay, okay.
There's an updated document.
Yes, she's brought a letter that is answering a bunch of the issues that I believe you raised in your memo.
Do you have her information? Yes, I can get it to her. Yes, I'll have, I have her copies today, but I don't have the email me and I can send it to
Or, I have a question. Why is this considered an accessory building when it's an attached to the existing building?
I believe the answer to that, did you hear that question? It's why
Yes,
it's an accessory building. I believe it's because it has a kitchen, it's a full apartment.
Correct. As long as you have the full facilities, it's considered an accessory unit. An accessory unit can be attached or detached.
Okay, thank you.
It is a good question.
Okay, so do you want to explain your application a bit to the board and then we can have Alicia talk
Sure.
about it?
requesting approval of the site plan for an addition to my my current dwelling to accommodate my elderly parents. As I shared with the ZBA, they are in good health now. They are 76 and 74, in good health. Currently live on their own and work and do everything, but are in a larger home and would need a single level and would like to prepare for that before they're older. I'm going to be their caregiver. So I'd like to prepare while they can enjoy their space. And it was really important to the accessory dwelling question. Why do they have their own kitchen and things? They're independent. We all want our privacy. And so they don't need me, in there preparing food for them or helping them with their day-to-day living at this point, but I'm really planning for down the road. So that's what the addition is for. They are currently in a 5-bedroom home on, just a little over 5 acres. And so I don't want them to go into an apartment. My dad's an outdoorsman, likes to be outside, likes to fiddle around. And so just important that they have their space.
So your house is currently how many bedrooms?
My house is currently 3 bedrooms.
And all of those right now are used as bedrooms?
Well, I'm the only one who lives there.
Okay, but they are.
And so they're technically bedrooms.
Okay.
But where the addition is abutting is going to be, the roof line will be where one of the current bedrooms is. It's a drop wall space right now. That is going to now lose its closets. It's going to be totally renovated, and that's just going to be workout office space. So it's losing the closet spaces. And then I have only 1 bathroom and a half downstairs. It's also, an opportunity if I needed to, when we're doing it, to shift sort of where the door is to that.
So you'll be left with 2 bedrooms in your house?
Correct.
And there'll be 2 bedrooms in your parents' unit?
There'll be 1 bedroom and then also a craft room space for my mom, because she does puzzles and she does painting, and so to have that's her
So
space.
it'll be the same number of bedrooms. once it's all
Correct.
done, because you'll lose one and then you gave one with the accessory.
Correct.
built out.
Exactly.
And
That's
that will-
exactly.
Because that's what we use to base the septic on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's why I'm asking all these
Yeah.
questions, because I'm just concerned that you own this house, and I'm sure this is the use that you're gonna put to it, but then sometime down in the future, you sell your house, and
Mhm.
somebody now buys a house with 4 or 5 rooms that could be used as bedrooms, and they have a septic that only allows
It
for
really can't
3
be called
bedrooms.
bedrooms though if they don't have a closet.
And so neither
That's
one
the
of
rule.
those,
That's the rule.
and neither one of those, so my space that's being renovated for the addition will not have any closets in it during the renovation. And then the craft room is not going to have any.
And the septic was built out to support 3 bedrooms.
Correct.
So the building inspector, if anybody buys that house down the road and you want to change it, build it with it, they'll look through it and they'll say that septic was only built for 3 bedrooms. So if you want to change one of these into a bedroom or add a bedroom,
Yeah.
we have to look at your septic. That's down the road and the building inspector.
The
will do
building
that
inspector would
always,
do that.
always. That's not really the planning board's job. That's the building inspector's job. You know, it's just-
Interesting, because I
there's no
never,
bedroom change. There's 3 there's going, in the final build out of this, that once it's all done, there's still gonna be 3 bedrooms, which is what the septic right now is built to cover to.
Yeah. well, that's my concern. I just don't want there to be more bedrooms than, this is news to me about the closets.
Yeah.
I've never heard that
Yeah.
before about the closets.
Yeah.
And I just think,
Just having gone through it.
yeah, because I think when somebody buys it down the line, they're going to purchase a house, and however many bedrooms the listing says.
It will say
3.
You can only say 3. You can't say 4. or 5.
Exactly, but that doesn't mean that's how they would use those rooms. And that was my concern, that they would not know that their septic cannot handle.
It will
the
say on the
amount.
plans that it's a size for a 3 bedroom. And the building inspector will see that too. I mean, if they're gonna go to the building inspector for another.
But why would they go to the building inspector?
You're
They
just saying
bought
if
the
they put a bed
house.
in there, you're saying if they put a bed in and not a bedroom. You
Yeah.
can put a bed in the kitchen. I mean, we don't know what people are doing.
But there are, and I don't claim to be familiar, there are, building requirements for what has to be a bedroom. And please don't quote me on this, but I don't think that a bedroom must have a closet. And, that the building inspector is the person to check with on this. But I mean, if the board's comfortable with it, then the board's comfortable
Exactly, if the board is
with
going
it. But
to put on the plan or the approval that it has to be maintained with only 3 of these rooms used as bedrooms. And, you hope that somebody sees that down the line, but.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea, because they're gonna get a survey that says that.
And people are still gonna do whatever they're gonna do.
Exactly.
And we'll
I
never
mean,
know
That's my
that.
The
concern.
bedroom thing is just not a good metric for septic.
It's
It
not,
should be
but
number of
that's the rule.
occupants.
And
I
but the
I know.
bedrooms define the occupants.
know. I know. I mean, I know. It's just, You could put 12
Let
people in
people
the
sleep in the
bedroom.
kitchen.
If people had kids the way they did years ago, you have 4 kids in a bed, like it would have,
Yeah.
anyway,
But the-
okay.
But the health code
You
is,
can have
it's,
4 people.
it's, the septic is built to accommodate however many occupants would normally live in a 3-bedroom home. And at the end of all this, with the accessory built up, there's still only going to be 3 bedrooms, so the septic is in compliance with the plan.
Yes, and the plan as it's being told to us.
And I think we can specify that in whatever our approval is.
Yeah.
So that it's clear that we consider that.
And we consider.
And that was
Yes,
part
and
of our
that-
approval
That has to
process.
be what goes on in the future. Okay. Alicia, do you have anything else? What other comments?
Yeah, just about the area of disturbance, that should be added to the site plan, and the construction, that should note the sediment and erosion control plans for the construction, just like a silt fence and that sort of thing.
And it is on what I've just handed to the board.
Oh, it's been
And
added. Okay.
I will email that to you tomorrow in a PDF.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. Um,
And let's see, referrals required to the county and seeker.
okay. So are we then ready to put this on for a public hearing for next month? But first I'll do the seeker and I'll do the county referral, but I'm just, before I get to that, I just want to, okay. So, Adam?
No, I'm just thinking about the septic system. I mean, if someone in the future were to want to increase the number of bedrooms, it says 750 gallon tank currently. they can simply up that.
Of course, yes, of course. And they should, if
Yeah, they
there's
should.
many ways they should.
But
It's
it's not.
just, sometimes they don't.
It's in their own best interest.
Okay, so can I have a motion to classify this application as a type 2 under seeker? Adam, great, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. And if the secretary can send this to the county, because it's within 500 feet of a state road and a farm operation in the Ag District. So next, if I can have a motion to schedule this for a public hearing for next month.
Can I ask a question about the public hearing?
Yes.
So I just need to understand, so we had a public hearing for the zoning board, for all of this. And
We know, it's,
It's two separate.
Yeah.
Two separate boards, two separate, we're approving something different, you know, yeah.
yeah, I know, we all, we all feel it. Okay, motion to schedule a public hearing. Seconded,
Seconded.
all in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Did we have a public hearing for, at the CBA, were there people that came out?
and I sent it to 14 people.
They would go to the same 14.
It's gonna go the same and no one will show up
Hopefully
again,
it'll
and
just be-
so we'll be ready just for you next month.
It's a good thing because then if anybody pops up later, you know, we've had this process, we've gone through it, you know, and so that's why you do it.
And I'm sorry, is this a connection? I need to, we're done to ask a question.
No,
What constitutes having to have a public hearing for an addition?
there's laws, I mean, there's just.
No,
the zoning
right,
code
because
that
there are,
requires it.
so some might not need a public hearing based
Tons of
on.
people don't need a public hearing. If they can just go to the building department and their lot is large enough and there are not any variances needed or any
Mhm.
site plan approvals,
You would approve
He
this.
It's because this
He
is an
just said-
accessory structure. That has to come before.
But
Thank
if
you.
you just added a, you know, a family room or something to your house and you weren't bothering the setbacks or you would have been fine. You know, those kinds of things are fine. So it's not everything that has to come.
I just needed to, I'm a Y, need to
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
It's making sure. Okay, good question. That is,
It's yours.
just keep one copy, and you each can keep, yeah, those are for you.
That'd be great. Thank you.
It's getting the electronic copy too.
Yeah,
Yes. I
and,
will.
and to the planning board secretary. Yes, send it to her as well. And that way she can send everybody a copy and then, and she puts it on the website. Yes.
3 public hearings on for June 3rd.
Yes.
Does anyone have any other matter that's not on the agenda that they would like to discuss?
I think I have to give you all of this as well.
Just sign that.
Just make sure. Oh, you know what? Yes, because these were originally after,
Yeah.
before the questions.
So
And then did you need this? Because there was a question about the farmlands. Aerial footage of that. I can just.
Yeah, that was just for the agricultural data statement. It's required to have a map with the farm operations within Exxon. So I'm assuming that's what's being discussed right now.
I will scan it with everything. Great, tomorrow. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a nice
See you next month. Okay, so any other matter that
I have a
anyone else?
question. Schmidt.
That, there was something that weren't ready, we'll be back next month.
Okay.
I just wanted to introduce everybody, I forgot at the start of our meeting, this is Lisa Kelly, she is our new planning board secretary. You've been getting emails from her, but just so you know. who she
Slowly but
is.
surely, yes.
And this is Hannah Atkinson, who is our new counsel.
Hi.
So, okay. If anybody have any other matters to bring up? Okay, can I have a motion to close? Seconded?
Second.
All in favor?
Well done.
This is a fast.